Monday, March 6. You can't take it with you. Someone once asked famous evangelist Billy Graham what surprised him most about life now that he was old. Graham was in his 60s at the time. Graham's answer: the brevity of it. No question, life goes by quickly. What do the following texts teach about human life here? Psalm 49, verse 17, for when he dies he shall carry nothing away, his glory shall not descend after him. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 6, now godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And Psalm 39, verse 11, when with rebukes you correct man for iniquity, you make his beauty melt away like a moth, surely every man is vapour. And James 4, verse 14, whereas you do not know what will happen tomorrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapour that appears for a little time and then vanishes away. And Ecclesiastes 2, verses 18 to 22, then I hated all my labour in which I had toiled under the sun, because I must leave it to the man who will come after me, and who knows whether he will be wise or a fool. Yet he will rule over all my labour in which I toiled, and in which I have shown myself wise under the sun. This also is vanity. Therefore I turned my heart and despaired of all the labour in which I had toiled under the sun. For there is a man whose labour is with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, yet he must leave his heritage to a man who has not laboured for it. This also is vanity and a great evil. For what has man for all his labour, and for the striving of his heart with which he has toiled under the sun? Not only does life go by quickly, but also when you die you take nothing with you, at least of the material goods that you have accumulated. Character, that's another story. For when he dies he shall carry nothing away, we read in Psalm 49, verse 17. Which means that he or she leaves it behind for someone else to get. Who will get it, of course, depends upon what plans are made beforehand, though of course not everyone has an estate per se. Some people, particularly as they have worked through the years, have accumulated some wealth. In the end, what will happen to that wealth after you pass on is really an important question that people should consider. For those who have possessions at the end of life, no matter how great or small they might be, estate planning can be our final act of stewardship of carefully managing what God has blessed us with. If you don't have an estate plan that you have created with a will or trust, the states or civil government laws can come into play. All this depends, of course, on where you live. If you die without a will, most civil jurisdictions simply pass your assets on to your relatives, whether they need them or not, whether or not they would make good use of the money, and whether or not you would have chosen to give a portion to that person. The church will get nothing. If that's what you want, fine. If not, you need to work out plans beforehand. In the simplest terms, we can say that because God is the owner of everything, as we read in Psalm 24, verse 1, it would be logical to conclude from a biblical perspective that when we are finished with what God has entrusted to us, we should return to him, the rightful owner, what is left, once the needs of loved ones are met. Psalm 24, verse 1 read, the earth is the Lord's and all its fullness, the world and those who dwell therein. And so to finish the day, death, as we know, can come at any time and unexpectedly too, even today. What would happen to your loved ones were you to die today? What, too, would happen to your property? Would it be distributed as you would like? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful. And here is a disclaimer. Contents of these lessons are not intended to be financial advice. but is general commentary based on biblical principles. The reader is encouraged to seek competent professional advice which will suit their particular personal situation.